It's Friday, September 10th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The COVID-19 vaccine could be added to the list of vaccines children will need to attend school in Barbados. That hint from Prime Minister Mia Mottley came during a national address on Thursday, while the Prime Minister reiterated government's stance that it would not be mandating adults to take the vaccine. She said students were required by law to receive vaccinations before they were accepted into nursery, primary, and secondary school.
We have given this country the assurance that we will not mandate adults, but we equally have a system that has been in place for decades, even before I was born, with respect to the vaccination of children in schools. On the previous occasion that I spoke, I mentioned that we have a system that allows and requires all students, not allows, that requires all students to be vaccinated unless you have the exception that is triggered by one, religious persuasion, and two, medical condition. And the ministries of health and education deal with those in a seamless way.
The Prime Minister said even as government was targeting mid-October for a possible return to face-to-face classes, there needed to be a higher vaccination percentage among students. She said so far only 1 in every 5 children between the ages of 12 and 18 has been vaccinated.
I want us as a country, please, to set the target that within the next 5 weeks, that to the middle of October, that we are capable of vaccinating as many of our students as possible. And why? Because those persons need to be able to get back into functional school. And there's so many parents who are already asking, but why can't we do it? We recognize that there are some schools, and the Ministry of Education will set out the criteria that might meet this target quicker than others. And who do we need to help us meet this target? We need the PTAs, we need the teachers, we need the parents, we need the class groups. And the parents in the class groups saying, our children want to go back to school, our children have been vaccinated, we want to get back there. And we need to do this with a target for the middle of October. We are currently using secondary schools to help us with tertiary isolation, but we expect that if we can boost our overall vaccine rate, and if we can do what I will talk to you shortly on, which is the introduction of a new framework for home quarantine and home isolation, then we will be able to get to that sense of new normalcy as fast as we can.
Tourism authorities are suggesting that if Barbadians get vaccinated and comply with the COVID-19 protocols, the country would not have to worry about how global travel measures could impact their lives. Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Senator Lisa Cummins, stated the position in response to plans by the British government to overhaul its travel traffic light system that determines which countries its citizens should visit and under what conditions, particularly during the current COVID-19 pandemic. Emmanuel Joseph tells us more.
Minister Cummins said Barbadians have to be committed to keeping this country safe for all, starting with other Barbadians. She said that by doing this, residents would have fewer worries when there are discussions about traffic light systems and their impact on Barbados as a tourism destination. The tourism minister is suggesting that more Barbadians must be convinced to do the right thing and consider getting vaccinated, wear their face masks, and practice physical distancing. She believes that too many of those things are not happening now, so it becomes a case where citizens, if they want the results, they have to put in the work. A BBC report has said that the traffic light overhaul could mean that green and amber categories may be removed and replaced with a new system. The report said a new system would allow vaccinated travelers to go to countries with similarly high levels of vaccination as the UK without the need for quarantine. It said the red category, which is for countries that the government says should not be visited, will remain. Under current restrictions, red countries should not be visited except in the most extreme of circumstances, and travelers returning from them must self-isolate for 10 days in a government-approved hotel. The Barbados Tourism Minister said that other markets will make decisions based on their own unique circumstances, and those decisions may benefit or disadvantage Barbados. But she is of the view that the country is at a further disadvantage if nationals aren't doing the right things here at home and then balking when the economic situation isn't what Barbadians want it to be. Minister Cummins said that at this time she is hoping to see more travel from the UK and by extension Europe. I'm Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
The Democratic Labour Party is suggesting that only decisive leadership and good judgment by the Mia Mottley administration will restore public trust in the management of the surging COVID-19 cases. DLP President Vola de Pisa stated the position in a statement issued on Thursday.
In December last year, Barbados reached a critical stage in its fight against COVID. We courted short-term tourism and paid a heavy price for it. An overburdened and overwhelmed health service, burgeoning spillover to schools negatively impacting the delivery of education to our youth, and hubris of government turning a blind eye to realities until it was too late. The tourists are not grateful for the half measures. Their test results are delayed when they arrive and when they attempt to leave, as the Best Dos Santos lab struggles to cope. Their holidays are ruined and they vow never to return. Last time, the Minister of Tourism, Lisa Cummins, threw money at the problem, while the Prime Minister belatedly locked down the country. We are right back here again. What will the government's response be? The citizens of Barbados have been met with vacillating positioning as the government scrambles for popularity. They court the tourists, inviting the vaccinated and unvaccinated in full knowledge that our people are vulnerable, having not reached anywhere near herd immunity.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
For news from the region, more minibus drivers in St. Lucia test positive for COVID-19 amid concerns that some were not adhering to the protocols. We get more in this report from DBS News.
COVID-19 has dealt a severe blow to the public transport sector, with more infections being reported among minibus operators. First Vice President of the National Council on Public Transport, Kentry Frederick, on Thursday revealed that 50 drivers from about 60% of the routes are currently infected. The NCOPT, he says, is down to have dialogue Thursday and Friday with the Ministry of Transport regarding the way forward.
We have approximately, we are within the region of 50 based on the statistics that are presented to us at this time. That's why it is necessary for us to have a discussion with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Transport as it relates to that.
Frederick has also disclosed that minibus operators are hiding their health status and are continuing to work knowing full well they are infected. There are still reports of drivers also flouting the 10-passenger limit.
And finally, U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday announced sweeping new vaccine requirements in a bid to increase COVID-19 vaccinations and curb the surging Delta variant. We get more in this report from France 24.
It could affect about 2/3 of all workers in the United States. In his most stringent coronavirus policy yet, President Joe Biden has issued an executive order requiring that all businesses with 100 or more employees ensure their workforces are vaccinated or show a negative test at least once a week.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this: what more is there to wait for? We've been patient. But our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
The vaccination requirement will also apply to people working in healthcare and government workers who could face termination if they refuse, unless they fall into limited exemption categories. Companies could face thousands of dollars in fines if they don't comply. Federal workers' unions have suggested they would accept the mandate, but Biden's wider plan is likely to run into legal challenges. Republican lawmakers said the administration was overstepping its authority with the requirement and intruding on personal liberties.
We're elected officials, actively working to undermine the fight against COVID-19. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
Biden's move comes amid a sharp rise in cases from the fast-spreading Delta variant that's killing more than 1,000 people per day in the US. The vast majority are unvaccinated or have received just one of 2 doses. But the rate of hesitancy remains high. Despite the jab's wide availability, just 53% of Americans are fully vaccinated.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.